So I'm going to welcome you to the $1 million case study. Hopefully by now you've seen at least a few of the episodes because I think we're on episode number 17 today. Today for the $1 million case study, we have Shane Steinmetz on with us. He is the director and project manager of Fetcher, and I'm really excited to have him.
Yeah, Greg, I am so glad to be here. A little bit about myself for anybody who doesn't know me. I am an Amazon seller. I became an Amazon seller like so many others because I was looking for a path to entrepreneurship. You know, I had the dream of making a passive income business, maybe even becoming my own boss one day. And that dream became a reality selling on Amazon, selling Amazon FBA private label products. So for me, Greg, launching products was probably the easiest part, actually. I had the Jungle Scout software, I had the Jungle Scout resources and the blog and everything else. So I had these wonderful tools around me to help me do it. Getting the products launched was exciting, but it was managing the business that got a little bit harder for me. You know, I had no background in accounting before I started this. Seller Central can be challenging at times. Those that have used Seller Central know that it's not always the most intuitive software in the world. And I just always had a nagging feeling that I didn't truly know what my profits were. And that's a scary thing as a brand new business owner, a brand new entrepreneur. And Greg, that's actually about the time that I joined you in building Fetcher. So now we've got this wonderful Amazon accounting tool that makes bookkeeping easy. It's the only tool that I use every single day. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how that tool will make people's lives easier. But more importantly, we're going to just talk about what it means to manage the finances of an Amazon business correctly.
Fantastic. And I think a lot of sellers can resonate with you there, Shane, because you're right. Seller Central is like difficult to use, right? So we're gonna make that a little bit easier for you guys today. So like I said, episode number 17 of the $1 million case study. We're gonna be talking about maximizing our profits and financial analytics. But before we get into the meat of it, real quick, every week we've been doing this $1 million case study giveaway, and this is very like inspiring to read. I love looking at this stuff. So we have 3 winners this week. I'm just going to read through these real quickly because, like I said, it's very inspiring, and I love to read these. And I know a lot of you guys can like kind of empathize and are in the same boat as a lot of these winners, a lot of these stories that we're hearing. So we love seeing this because, you know, it really brings, we do this every week and hundreds and thousands of people are tuning in, but this really just brings, you know, like life to every one of you guys in the chat box and following along with this. So this is very cool, very inspiring to hear these stories. So congratulations, and Craig and Terry will be contacting you guys as well. So if you are interested in winning a t-shirt or one of our extensions being featured in the $1 million case study and on our website, this is how you can do it. Go to junglescout.com/giveaway. It's a few very simple steps to enter in this. And then like we just read, you can be the winners of these, and we're selecting winners every week for all of 2017. So if you're watching a replay of this, no problem. You can still enter this. And like I said, every week for all of 2017, we'll be selecting winners. So by the end of this webinar, you're going to know exactly how to manage your finances and maximize your Amazon profits. And Shane's going to be walking us through that. But before we dig into that, I want to give you guys a quick update on our Jungle Snugs. As you guys probably know, we launched our Jungle Snugs, I guess a couple weeks ago now. Where are we at? We have 9 reviews, 4.7 out of 5 stars, which isn't bad. I would like some more reviews, and I'd like to get that up so that the thing's showing 5 out of 5 instead of 4.5 out of 5. That's not bad. One person left a picture review, which we were really excited about because then that shows up in the customer images. I'm pretty sure that probably improves our conversion, so that's really nice. One person did leave us a 3-star review. All they said was looks nice, but that's fine. We'll get more reviews and hopefully have a 5 out of 5 average overall. But yeah, so far the reviews are pretty good. We actually don't have any verified reviews yet, which makes me believe that most of these came from the discounted products on JumpSend. So no one knows the exact algorithm, but deeply discounted products, oftentimes they don't show up as verified reviews on Amazon. It's not that big of a deal. It's much better to have any reviews at all than none, even if they're not verified. I would guess 9 out of 10 consumers aren't really like educated enough about Amazon to look for this kind of like verified badge. So I'm just happy to have reviews. I don't really care whether they're verified or not. or where they came from. So just a few little updates. I wanted to, like I said, I want to kind of like keep you guys in the loop of what we're doing. When we originally launched, it was priced at $24.95. We've temporarily lowered the price to $17.95 because we're just trying to drive up our sales velocity right now. That's our main goal at this time, is just to get more sales so that we rank better. It's kind of a tricky thing and kind of something I have to be careful with, because we don't want to drive down the price in the overall market. So as soon as we start kind of starting to rank or getting close to be ranking like where we at, and that would be like in the top half of the first page, we're going to be slowly inching that back up, because we do in the long term want to be selling these for like $25, maybe $23, but higher price than this. So we have to be careful that, we don't want our competitors lowering their prices too. So it's kind of this tricky thing, but it's something we're going to be watching closely. We're still waiting on our lifestyle images. We expect to have them at the end of this week or early next week. That will make our listing a lot better. Like I said here in the bottom, our listing's still pretty mediocre. It's not anything special, it's decent, but we really need some higher quality lifestyle images. We really also need to do some more design work on our images, like I was talking about last week in the Q&A session, where we talked about maybe like a little competitive matrix and some things like that. After that, we'll be doing a lot of split tests to make sure our title and main image and price and everything is very well optimized. I turned on AMS ads this morning, and those are Amazon Marketing Services ads. They're found in a different section, not actually in Seller Central. And I'll let you guys know in a couple of weeks after we have some data. I'll let you guys know how they're performing. So I just want to let you know about that. I did verify the open brand registry back up. We're not able to register until our trademark application has been processed, which takes months. But I'm not too worried about that. That's like, we're just going to roll with it. Without brand registry, we can't do enhanced brand content, and we can't do a couple other things, but hey, what can we do, right? Who cares? No reason to lose sleep over it. And the early reviewer program appears to be a waste of money for us, because like I said, we have 9 reviews now as far as what Amazon says in the early reviewer program. They only try to offer the rewards until you get 5 reviews. And it's my understanding that like anyone who leaves a review through the early reviewer program is supposed to have like a little badge next to the review. And none of ours had that. So I guess we paid $60 and got nothing from it, because I don't see any reviews from that. How many products have I given away? A lot of people are curious about this. So we're getting tons and tons of requests for coupons inside JumpSend. About 150 per color. It's like 450 total. I've given out 36 coupons for pink. Of those, 19 people have actually purchased. I gave away 37 coupons for blue. 18 of them have actually purchased. And I gave away 61 coupons for white, and about 40 have purchased. So in total, we've gotten about 80 sales using coupons. And this has been spread out over the course of the past 10 days or whatever. So roughly 8 a day. We'll know better after we dig in and look at Fetcher, but that's what we've done through the promotions now. And we'll be sharing you guys how many sales we've gotten shortly, both through the promotions and organically. And I'm slowly tapering these coupons off, because we're starting to get more and more purchases without coupons, which is our end goal. So so the launch and the coupon distribution has been going well. And I'm happy to announce, I think I said last week that by the end of June, my goal was to be ranked on the first page for our main keyword, which is hooded baby towel. And as of about 2 hours ago, I noticed that we are already ranked on the first page. We're at the very bottom of the first page, but we're still on the first page. So the whole process is going well. Like I said, my goal was for the end of June to be on the first page, and we're already there after 7 or 10 days or whatever. So the overall, it's doing well. So I'm just going to show you 2 other things real quickly. Inside Splitly, we've been tracking our rankings for these different keywords. So hooded baby towel, this is kind of like our main keyword. And as you can see, we're now on page 1, rank number 23. So that's like the very bottom of page 1, but we're still on page 1. Whereas we started out on page 5, rank 120, which is pretty terrible. Baby towel, we started out on page 10, so pretty much lost in the very deep, dark pits of Amazon. And we're now on page 2, number 44. So that'd be like close to the bottom of page 2, but we're getting better. Bamboo hooded towel, we started off again, page 10. Now we're on towards the top of page 2, which is pretty good. And then towel hooded, this one's not doing so well, page 7, but that's not really one of our main keywords. So if we were to be able to get on the first page for all 3 of these keywords, I'm confident that they'd be selling very well. So I already showed you guys this, but inside JumpSend, this is what we're doing to distribute coupons to increase sales velocity. Gotten a whole bunch of requests, and we've given away a number of coupons. So those are all kind of listed in here. If I wanted to give away more, well, shoot, let's just give someone one. So if I wanted to give away another coupon, all I do is click approve, and this person was just emailed a coupon. So yeah, maybe they'll purchase it later today. Hooded baby towel, I just want to show you guys this. This is our listing, but this is paid. We're using Amazon sponsored ads to get here. So this isn't like our organic ranking. We have to pay for every time someone clicks on it. But if we scroll down to the bottom, you will notice that we are on the first page, the very last spot. But yeah, we're climbing up quickly. Probably by the end of this week, hopefully we'll be kind of in the middle. Hopefully in a few weeks, we'll be up. I would really, really love to be kind of like in these top 2 lines. That would be where we would start doing really well. So yeah, with that being said, Shane, let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about yeah, our sales and all that good stuff.
Let's do it. So first thing that stands out to me, Greg, is that there's been a ton of activity in just about 7 to 10 days. So since the day 1 of the $1 million case study started and you selected this product, or the team selected the product together, and this thing has progressed, there's been a lot of activity. But I think it's very, very easy for sellers to get caught up in the day-to-day activities of the business of trying to give products away, boost BSR, get ranked, increase reviews. All of these things are such a huge priority that we often forget about the fundamentals of business. And so that's what we are going to talk about today. So I have a question to the audience. Those people who are hopefully launching products concurrently with the $1 million case study, or perhaps are about to launch products, or are already successful Amazon sellers. A question that I have for them is, what were your exact profits in the first quarter of 2017? And now we have quarter 2 of 2017 about to close. And do you know your exact profits for this quarter as well? Along that same line, how much money have you been losing in refunds, down to the penny? These are the sort of questions we need to have answers to as business owners. What was your return on investment for each one of your products? Not your total business, but each one of your products. And how are those products comparing to each other? What's your total gross margin? Is it degrading, or is it improving month over month? And how much money have you lost to Amazon service fees? I'm not talking about FBA fees, transaction fees. I'm talking about the service fees, like storage fees and some of these other miscellaneous fees that we're going to get into. If those questions kind of cause the hair on your arms to stand up, as you said earlier, Greg, I think that it's not unnormal. I know I felt the exact same way when I first started selling on Amazon. But the reality is that bookkeeping might not be the most exciting task for business owners. We all realize this, but it's probably the most critical task if we're going to save money and grow successful, lasting Amazon businesses. And that's what we're after here. We're not just about launching products and making a little money over the next 6 months and then failing out because we failed to manage our business. We want to build a fundamental, strong business that's going to last over time. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Truthfully, my goal is to show people how to manage their finances and then ultimately maximize their profits so that they can build lasting Amazon business. Sound good?
Sounds good to me. And guys, feel free to put those the questions Shane had for you. Go ahead and put your answers in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to read them off to him.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, so there's probably 2 primary methods that people can use for managing the finances of their Amazon businesses. The day-to-day slug of running a business. The first method is the Seller Central and Excel method. So this is going to require you to use Seller Central, Amazon software, and Excel files or some other spreadsheet software where you're going to compile all of the reports. And I did a check this week, and there's actually 11 different Seller Central reports that you would have to download and combine into a single Excel file if you're going to use this method. So there's 11 different reports where you're going to get all of your data from. So you're going to go and get all of those and bring them into a single file. Then you're going to have to add in your personal business expenses, like cost of goods sold and any other business expenses that Amazon doesn't already know about. So now we've got this Excel file. We're going to set up Excel formulas, probably macros, in order to calculate all these metrics, because it's going to become pretty complex. We've got several dozen metrics that need to be calculated. And then you're going to need to do this daily, weekly, monthly, depends on the frequency that is important to you as the business owner. And Greg, I actually started running my FBA business this way. I did it one time. It took me about 7 hours to set up all of the spreadsheet work. I even paid a friend of mine to set up some macros so that I could run these calculations so I could calculate my profits. So after about 7 hours of work and a little bit of money that I spent paying for my buddy to set up the macros, since I didn't have that skill, I thought I had my true profits. But a few things, reality set in shortly thereafter. I realized that I was going to have to maintain this file. So it takes about an hour and a half for me each day in order to maintain the file that shows me my profits. So as much as I want to see recent numbers, I'm going to have to put in a little bit of hard labor, intensive labor on the computer before I'm going to be able to get to that. And then on top of that, I found out about 3 months later after I was doing this process that I wasn't including shipping credit refunds, which is an important Amazon cost. I completely forgot to include that. It was just, something I was delinquent with. And ultimately, it meant that my profits were off by several $100s. So that's method one. That's the Excel method. It's the Seller Central method. I know people who are out there that are doing it. They're putting in a lot of time, and I hope they're accurate with their business. But I can just say from my perspective, I wasn't so lucky. How about you, Greg? Did you ever try method one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's like any Amazon sellers, especially if you started like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, before there was like any solutions for this, there was like no other way, right? So yeah, I can definitely, I feel your pain. It was terrible.
That's right. So now we also have option number 2. This is the software option. In this case, we're going to be talking about Fetcher. So Fetcher is essentially an automated and live and accurate representation of your Amazon data, as well as your other FBA expenses. So this is the chance for Amazon sellers to save a lot of time and focus on growing their business while having the confidence that their financials are in order, not having that nagging feeling that you're potentially not making as much money as you think you are, or whatever it might be. So this is the software solution, and it's the recommended solution at this point in time because Amazon is a competitive space. I mean, we realize that. There are a lot more people in the private label business than there were 3 years ago, as you just mentioned, Greg. So this is one opportunity for sellers to stay ahead of the game, stay on top of their financials, and recognize that they can focus their time on growing their business since their financials are in order. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the software solution. But regardless of what solution you choose, which method you choose, whether you choose the Seller Central and Excel method, or you choose the automated software, the Fetcher method, today we're going to demonstrate how to manage your Amazon finances and maximize your profits, regardless of which solution you're going to use. But I will tell you that I'm going to be using Fetcher's platform to demonstrate this, just because it's going to give us the ability to take a really in-depth look at the finances behind 2 businesses that people are very familiar with, most specifically the Jungle Snugs business. And we'll also look at the first business you launched publicly, the Jungle Sticks product. So we're going to do that together, looking at Fetcher, but we'll be talking about all of the major Amazon metrics that Amazon sellers need to know inside and out. We're not going to skip anything. If you're an Amazon seller, you can rest assured that after the end of this webinar, you should have confidence in the metrics that you need to calculate and how to use those metrics to your advantage. There are 2 metrics that are pretty difficult. I will say up front, managing refunds can be challenging, and then managing pay per click are especially tough. But we've got really great resources for you at Fetcher. We've actually created 2 free resources to help with these specific areas, because they're the areas that I've identified that would give sellers the most opportunity to improve their margins, which is something we're all after. So we're going to be sharing a refunds and pay per click resource with you a little ways into the webinar. And then at the end, I am going to give a special offer to all the viewers here at the $1 Million Case Study to try Fetcher for free. It's 30 days for free. There's no credit card requirement when you sign up. So I would highly recommend that people who are participating in this webinar and who've been launching businesses recently try Fetcher, sign up for free, and at least get a look at how your business should be looking in terms of the financials. Compare it if you're using method one by yourself. If you're doing the manual method one, Seller Central method, sign up for Fetcher and validate that you're doing it correctly, if nothing else. But I do think that in general, people are going to realize that Fetcher is a much easier solution for managing their finances. But with that said, Greg, I am going to share my screen now, and we are going to dive into the details and really go pretty deep on the Jungle Snugs data.
Fantastic. Because, yeah, I know it looks like, but in the chat box, people are excited to learn more about Fetcher, but also everyone wants to see how many sales have we had, how much money have we made, how much money have we spent on promotions and PPC and all that stuff. So, yeah, I know you have our account set up, so let's see it.
Great. Are you seeing my screen now, Greg?
Yep, I got it. Looks good.
Okay, so you guys, this is the Fetcher dashboard, and you can see at the top we're welcoming the Jungle Sticks account, and in this Jungle Sticks account, we've got the Jungle Sticks product, we've got the Jungle Snugs, and then we've also got some Jungle Scout T-shirts, those T-shirts that Greg's been giving away for free throughout this process of the $1 Million Case Study. So we'll have a look at all of those different products, but we're going to start by looking at sales data, because ultimately here we want to look at sales data and all of the metrics that are involved in sales. Then we want to look at all of the data and metrics that are involved with expenses or costs. And then by subtracting that, you can get to your profits. But there are several metrics in each one of these categories. So starting with category one, we're looking at sales. And I'm up here in the sales widget in the top left-hand corner, which gives the viewer a really nice breakdown of how their sales are looking. So these are all of the total sales from May 17th through June 15th. I've just come over to this date range selector, and I've chosen the last 30 days. So that's what we're focused on right now. In your sales data, it seems like the most obvious metric a user could have to go for. It's as simple as collecting all of your sales dollars in this case, because we're selling in the United States. But I do want to give a few warnings out to people who might be trying to do this manually. As frequently as we are changing our product price, it can get easy to confuse your total sales, because you may start to calculate your sales with a price that's no longer relevant if you've changed your sales. So that's just one little bit of warning to people, to be sure that when they're calculating total sales, include all of those price changes that they've made along the way. Sales, it's nice to see total sales, but Greg, I also want to go into the sales and profit page here, because I want to have a look at each one of the products and compare them all. So I'm come down here, I'm looking at total units sold, and I've filtered by total units sold, and I can see over the last 30 days how much each unit has sold. So with the Jungle Sticks, you know, we've got 765 sales. This is a really strong product that's been in the market for over a year now. It's solid. And then we have the Jungle Snugs, which are brand new, only 7 days old. So they're only relevant for the last 7 days, even though I'm looking at a 30-day range. And it looks like our white Jungle Snugs are off to a really nice start. They've got 82 sales already. And then the Jungle Snugs Blue have 35, and the Jungle Snugs Pink have 33. But when we're talking about sales, what I want to reinforce here is that it's not enough to just look at one product's sales or just your total business sales. You really want to compare each product and see how they're performing against each other so we can make some evaluations. It's really early, but it's very possible, Greg, that it looks like the Jungle Snugs White are going to be the most popular of all the products. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll see. It's a little bit skewed because they're giving away more coupons for that one. But if I remember right, that one has also had the most organic sales. So yeah, at this point, it's looking like it, right?
Yep. And we will dig into that a little bit more. I think we'll have an answer a little later for sure as to whether or not it's going to be the projected winner, at least thus far. So the next element or the next metric that people need to be thinking about when they're thinking about their sales are going to be your promo rebates. So here you see that we've had over $1,000 in promo rebates. Greg, as a statistician here, has elected to give away a significant amount of product in order to see a return and a gain in BSR. One thing is that promo rebates are often forgotten in total profit calculations. You have to realize, of course, that promo rebates are products that are given away at a discount. So they may not be given away at a loss necessarily, or they may not be given away for free, but regardless of what they are given away at, it's important to calculate this and include this when you're doing your total financial calculations. Luckily, Fetcher does that for us here. And so you can see your total promo rebates over a period of time. And just on a day-to-day basis, these little portions here on the bar graph, Greg, in dark blue, these are the promo rebates. So you can see that there have been significant giveaways on every single day, really, for the last 7 to 8 days, which is when the Jungle Snugs launched.
Shane, I'll just interrupt you. Guys, if you're just looking in Seller Central, just be warned that the revenue that Seller Central shows you, it doesn't subtract the amount of money of the coupons. So like right now, if Jungle Snugs were my only product in my account, it would show I have like whatever, $4,000 worth of revenue, where in reality, a lot of people bought this product for like $2. So just something to be mindful of it if you're not using Fetcher inside Seller Central.
Great point. All right, moving on to the next metric inside of our sales category. We're talking about refunds now. Refunds are a difficult topic for a number of reasons. One is that the current system is set up to really benefit the buyer. Everybody knows that Amazon is the preferred location for shopping, at least in the United States, and certainly now growing in Europe and elsewhere in the world. And part of the reason is because Amazon, in its infinite wisdom, has seen to give buyers a huge advantage in that they almost have an infinite ability to make returns. It might say that the return window is only 30 days, but I've often returned products at Amazon after 30 days, and Amazon's extended me, a warranty or whatever it was to allow me to do that. So refunds are something that as a seller can be a bit of a nuisance because they cost us money every single time. We're not going to get reimbursed for the cost of good that it took to send out that product. So the FBA fees, et cetera, aren't going to be refunded to us. So it's something that we have to pay really close attention to, and that's why we've got a separate tab in Fetcher. It's called the Refunds tab. I'm going to click over there right now, and I'm just going to compare our products. Now, I will just say that the Jungle Scout t-shirt is pretty much irrelevant. We're just talking about a single return right there. We don't have enough sales with that product. That's a product that Greg and company have been giving away for free. But with the Jungle Sticks, it's pretty interesting to see what our total return rate looks like over the last 30 days. There's only been 6 returns for a return rate of less than 1%. So by most statistical measures, that is a highly successful product when we're talking about return rates. Greg and company are not losing too much money here by getting returns unnecessarily. So when it comes to returns, though, despite the fact that we don't have any Jungle Snugs data yet, still early, there haven't been any returns, which is fantastic, but inevitably over time there will be. We're going to want to look at this in a Pareto chart. We're going to want to look at least 30 days worth of data and compare each one of these products and see the return rate and see if there's a spike. So right now we see that the return rate is under 1% for the Jungle Sticks. No harm, no worries. We can continue on with our business. But if this number was upwards of 5% or higher, it's a very good indicator that there's a potential quality issue. If you have a quality issue, obviously the first thing you need to do is get in contact with the supplier and put a stop to this if there's a legitimate issue. And potentially you want to pull it off the market because you're going to lose so much money in returns. So it's just critically important to stay on top of returns and refund rates, which is why we've actually built out a really nice free resource related to refunds. And so Greg is going to get this nice resource that we've built. It's an ebook, right? It's an electronic book. It's about 25 pages long, and it talks about refund rates and how to cut your refund rates in half. And we've had several customers, Fetcher customers, who've used this ebook and have cut their return rates from somewhere like 5 and 6% down to 2.5%, 3%. They've cut their return rates in half. All the techniques, the strategies into this model that we've been using to improve refunds that I know Greg is using here with the Jungle Sticks, why you see such a low refund rate, are in that ebook. And Greg, I think you're going to pop that resource into the chat box now so everybody has free access to it.
Yeah, I just pasted it in the chat box. And if you're watching this replay, we'll also put it in the description below of the YouTube replay.
Great. I love refunds only because it's probably the best opportunity for people to improve their return rates, or rather their total margins. Of course, they're going to improve their return rates if they're following the ebook resource. But it's probably the place where people spend the least amount of time thinking about improving their margins, which means it's an opportunity for a lot of people. So if you're not really sure what your return rates look like across all of your product lines, have a look. Take a look at the resource that we've given this ebook and see if you can find a way to cut yours in half and obviously save quite a bit of money in the process if you can do so. Okay, so that's refunds. And now we're going to move on to the reimbursement section of sales. Reimbursements are an interesting topic. specifically because Amazon doesn't always automatically reimburse you for lost or damaged inventory. That's what we're showing here. There was $24.31 worth of lost or damaged inventory that Amazon reimbursed Greg for between May 17th and June 15th, the date range that we've been looking at. But I could guess that there might even be a little bit more reimbursement money out there that's available that Amazon has forgotten about. Something that people don't really know, the dirty little secret, is that Amazon often fails to missing inventory. So a word of advice here, or a little tip or technique here, is that sellers can go into Seller Central, into their own personal Seller Central, and they can download a missing inventory report, and they can find out all of the used cases where Amazon has misplaced your inventory. You download that report, you upload it into an email, and contact Amazon with it, and Amazon will ultimately reimburse you for all of the money that they haven't done automatically. So there's a lot of money potentially out there that users or sellers can go out and get on their own if they have a little bit of dedication, commitment to getting to that. Have you had that process work for you, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that shocks like a lot of new sellers, and it's also still kind of shocking to me how they still lose so much stuff. But whatever, they do reimburse you for it. You just have to ask them.
Right. And just a little bit of a highlight of what could come later in Fetcher. We're thinking about a new feature that would help with this quite a bit, since it is still a manual process. And our focus is really to get people out of Seller Central and out of the manual work and into just running businesses and growing businesses. So we're working on a new feature that will help with this in the future. Not ready yet, but something to be looking forward to. Okay. And then the very last metric that I want to talk about as it relates to sales before we move into expenses stuff is just units sold. This is obviously the total number of units that you have sold over a period of time. In Fetcher, you see this nice bar graph below, so you can see the trend lines. And the things to think about here are that, yes, there have been a significant number of promo rebates given away. So while it looks like we've sold 916 units, that is absolutely true, but 80 of them, as indicated here, were sold at a discount and potentially even a loss. So something to obviously be considering as a part of the strategy, something we've been talking about a lot already today, that this is an important strategy during an initial launch. So it's not unusual to see something like this during the initial launch. And then lastly, see this number here at the bottom. This shows 26 pending units. So of the 916 units, 26 of those orders are still pending. And what this means is that the units have not shipped. Somebody's put the units into their shopping cart, and they've purchased the product, but the product hasn't actually shipped from Amazon's fulfillment centers yet. So this means two things, really. The first is that the data actually isn't resonated inside of Amazon yet. So legitimate sales data and legitimate expenses data hasn't even been populated yet for these pending units, even though they've been purchased. So if you are looking at Seller Central, and if you're looking into Amazon's API, if you're even that dedicated to getting to the data, you are not going to see any numbers associated with these units since they've been purchased, but they haven't been shipped. Fetcher does something a little bit advantageous to sellers who want to stay up to date with the most live, realistic information. And we make very, very good estimates as to what the sales dollars and what the FBA fees are going to look like for these pending orders. You can see them over here on the bar chart as well. I don't know how easy it is for people to see on the screens, but there's really three colors of blue here. We have like kind of a medium shade blue, and then we have a dark blue, and then there's quite a light blue at the top. Those light blues indicate each one of the pending units. So while there's no data in them in Amazon yet that's available for these units, it just looks like they shipped, but there's no sales data. In Fetcher, we're going and we're estimating how much they ultimately sold for. So we're giving you a very, very, very good projection, about 99% accurate projection on what the sales data and what the expenses data looks like for these pending units. And then once they do ship, we'll update the data with the real data from Amazon, but at least keeps you more up to date than you would be able to if you were using just Seller Central. So that's kind of our sales data, and that's a really good start when you're thinking about all of the metrics that are necessary for calculating sales. And there's a lot of them there, a lot of things that people might not be thinking about when they're just thinking about sales. So obviously it behooves us to pay attention to each one of those metrics. And now we're going to move into the cost metrics. So we're talking about costs, we're talking about expenses. I try not to get too hung up on vocabulary when we're talking about accounting here. Most of us are not accountants, but I think we all recognize and understand that costs or expenses are the things that we are paying money for in our business in order to run our business. And there's a lot of these guys. So we've got the little widgets here, but we've even got a pie chart down at the bottom, and it's going to make things a little bit easier to follow. So I'm going to slide down to this pie chart. Greg, can you see the pie chart?
Yep. See, the pie chart looks good.
So starting with this big dark blue abyss, this is the biggest cost of doing business if you are Jungle Sticks and Jungle Snugs. Any guesses on what it's going to be? It's order fees, okay? FBA fees. I've just clicked on it to drill down a little further, but it's orders fees, okay? So orders fees now are broken up between FBA per unit fulfillment fee, and they're broken up between the commission fee. So basically what we're seeing here is that FBA fees are a major cost of doing business in the Amazon game, but this is a cost of business. We recognize it, and to be honest, there's not a lot you can do to influence this number. And I'm all about getting to the metrics that we can have influence on so we can improve our margins and take home some more money at the end of the day. So let's move on from the orders fees, as there's not much we can do there. The next that I want to look at is this section. It's the cost of goods section. So this cost of goods section makes up not quite, I don't know, whatever it is, 20%. Oh, actually, I can see it at the bottom, 16%, right? Cost of goods make up about 16% of the Jungle Sticks and Jungle Snugs business. And this is a very, very important and critical piece of the business to get right. Understood, but I'm going to explain this, just Barney style, try to keep it simple, and hopefully everybody catches on to what I'm having to say here. Inventory is obviously owned by the seller until it's shipped. So all the inventory that you own that's in Amazon is still owned by you until it's shipped. So every time that there's a shipment, you have a sale, and that's now minusing from your inventory and from the total value of inventory that you hold. So it's necessary for a seller to charge themselves for every single sale. So every time a unit goes out the door, you are spending money because that inventory that you own is no longer owned by you. You're giving it away. But of course, you're giving it away at a price that's going to make you some money. But when it comes to tracking all of this, it gets a little bit tricky. And that's why we have this expenses section here. Section of Fetcher. It makes it really, really easy to look at your products. So here we have the Jungle Sticks product, and I'm just going to click add and enter over on the side, and we have a complete history of all the cost of goods that Greg has paid for the Jungle Sticks. Way back in the beginning, when he ordered his very first product, it cost $4.62. That's to actually manufacture the product, $3.52, and then to ship it United States was $1.10. So for a total cost of $4.62. But you can see that over time, the cost of that product has decreased. Greg's become better at bargaining. Maybe he's developed a stronger relationship with the supplier, and ultimately he's getting these products in at a much lower cost, which means better margins and all around a better day for Greg and for the business. And we track that all here. So as complicated as tracking cost of goods can be, especially when your costs are changing, Fetcher is one solution that makes it pretty easy to use. Okay, that's our cost of goods. So I'm going to move on to our next section. And this is the dreaded pay-per-click section. So in pay-per-click, I've now just drilled down into the pie chart. We can see that pay-per-click is about 16% right now of the total Jungle Sticks and Jungle Snugs business. And here's each one of the campaigns that are being run. There's a lot of them, obviously. And at times, pay-per-click can be a little bit overwhelming. It's pretty hard to know how you're doing if you're looking at it at a very high level like this. So we know that Greg's spending about 16% of his business on pay-per-click. Let's go into the products themselves and have a little bit of a closer look. In order to do that, I'm just going over to the product breakdown page. And we're going to start with the tried and true, the year-old brilliant product, the Jungle Sticks. Okay, so the Jungle Sticks over the last 30 days have had a pretty nice ACOS, a pretty nice return, an average cost of sales. We've spent $1,730, but the return has been $6,180. So that's a really nice return when we're talking about just one-day sales. But now let's also have a look at 7-day sales and 30-day sales, because these are also very helpful metrics. And just to explain these as simply as I can, a 7-day sale is when somebody actually clicks on your ad and puts your product into their shopping cart, but doesn't check out right away. If they check out right away or within the first 24 hours, it's considered a one-day PPC sale. But if they wait 6 to 7 days, then it's going to be considered a 7-day sale. Meanwhile, if they keep the product in their cart for as many as 20 days to 30 days, that's considered a 30-day sale. And this is an important metric to be thinking about because while our ACoS looks to be 27%, that's really only in reference to 1-day sales. All of these other products that have been put in shopping carts and have been held onto are still sales. And these are still referencing and giving credit to individual keywords. So just something to be keeping in mind. I know a lot of people that are using the Seller Central pay-per-click dashboard really just focus on 1-day sales. But don't forget that between 1 day and 30 days, Greg still got another $900 worth of sales. So pay-per-click might have been potentially quite a bit better than we recognized when we were just looking at 1-day sales if we had skipped 30 days. I hope that makes sense, but I'm not here to talk about pay-per-click. I know in one of the prior webinar episodes, there was a really drilled down version of what pay-per-click is all about and how to optimize pay-per-click. So I recommend people go back and check that out. And then we also have another resource that I'm really, really excited about. This resource has just been launched. Greg's going to spin it up right now and drop it into the chat box so people have access to it. It's another ebook, but smart people read, right? So we create books for smart people who want to read and who want to learn. This one's actually a 56-page ebook. It is the most complete and comprehensive guide that I've ever seen out there. So I highly recommend it if you're somebody who's new to pay-per-click and is trying to get their bearing and is a little bit overwhelmed. Go, of course, check back to the $1 million case study episode that talked about pay-per-click, but check out our resource as well. Greg, were you able to put that in the chat box?
Yep, guys, I pasted that link in the chat box. The same thing, if you're watching a replay of this at a later date, we'll put it in the YouTube description below.
Sweet. That's a really cool one, so check it out. Okay, now I am moving on, and I'm going to look at this section called recurring fees. So we're still looking at costs. I hope everybody's hanging with me. We're still looking at expenses. This is the nitty-gritty of what it takes to run a good Amazon business. And now we are looking at those Amazon fees that are a little bit easier to influence. Okay, with FBA fees, there's not a lot we can do. We signed on the dotted line and agreed to be FBA sellers. And so Amazon is going to have their way and they're going to charge us whatever they deem necessary. And if we want to do business with them, that's the cost of doing business. But when it comes to these service fees, these are recurring fees. These are fees that are not charged based off of every individual transaction or every individual sale. So if I give you an example, it'll probably stand out better. This green pie slice is representative of subscription costs. So everybody has to pay $39.99 to be a professional Amazon seller. That's a cost of doing business, but this is a recurring fee, right? It's not dependent on how many sales you get. Some other costs that are not dependent would be these others. We see a return per unit fee. We see a disposal fee, and then we see storage fees. Overall, over the last 30 days, it's clear that Greg has not overspent in these categories. But I talk with Amazon sellers on a daily basis, Fetcher customers specifically, and we always go into their recurring fees and have a look there when they're concerned about how their business is going. And this is probably the number one area where I see that potentially a seller has just kind of lost track. There's so much to keep up with, as we said at the very beginning of this. We're trying to get reviews. We're trying to compete. We're trying to make sure that nobody pirates our listing. All these things that we're thinking about. One that we often overlook are these other fees. So I would recommend, just checking out Fetcher for a quick down and dirty of where you stand with your recurring fees. That's your FBA storage fees and all these other miscellaneous fees, and many of which can be influenced. I would just recommend, checking them out. Like, what's this FBA customer return per unit fee? I'll just do a search in Seller Central, see what this is, and then find out whether or not it's something I could have probably avoided. I know it oftentimes has been things that I could have avoided. I know I got charged in December for a labeling issue because I didn't label my goods properly, and I got slapped with a $75 cost to tweak my labels or something like that. Luckily, I had Fetcher, and it was caught in this recurring fees section, and I've now recognized that, whoa, be careful. I need to adjust my process, go back and figure out what I did incorrectly so it don't happen again. So recommend checking out the recurring fees section, you guys. All right. And then lastly, there's this section called other expenses. And it's a really small little bit here. Let's see if I can even click on it. Okay, there it is. This is the other expenses. So we have a section in Fetcher that lets people add in their other business expenses. And so whether you're using Fetcher or whether you're not, it's highly recommended that you at least keep track of all of your other costs of doing business. There's so much more to it than just your FBA fees and just your cost of goods. In this case, we've got a software subscription because the Jungle Sticks and Jungle Snugs account needs to pay for Fetcher. So they're paying the $19 a month for Fetcher, where we keep track of that in the expenses section just because it's pretty nifty. It's just a little section called other expenses. And there's a lot of stuff that you can see Greg is keeping track of here in his personal account. Product photography, something not to be overlooked, a $300 cost. It's a major, major cost of doing business. If you were just using Seller Central, you're probably not going to find a place to put this. You're going to have to remember to do it on your own. In Fetcher, we're going to prompt you, and you can put it right in here, and it gets summed up into the total business costs. And we have several others as well, but I think everybody gets the idea. If you have other costs of doing business, maybe you have a staff member that you're paying, or maybe you had to pay for additional warehousing somewhere before you shipped it to Amazon. All that stuff can get summed up here, and it'll get totaled into Fetcher. And now I think we are happy to go to our totals because we've talked about all the sales metrics, we've talked about all the costs and the expenses metrics. So now we want to see a nice big roundup of how the total business is doing, because now we can actually calculate profits. You can see here all the sections that we just talked about, and you see what total revenue looks like between May and June. And then we can move down into the expenses section, and you can see total profits and gross margin. Now, obviously, the net profit this month is lower than in previous months because Greg has now launched 3 brand new products at the same time, which can bear a burden because obviously there's some major, major costs of doing business. We've had the product photography cost of $300, and then we've had lots of promo rebates. So that's the major story there. But I think the bottom line, or the message that I'm trying to get across to people, is that there's these 2 major categories that we need to be thinking about as Amazon sellers: sales and expenses. Each one of them have several different metrics that need to be totaled up and calculated into one summary file or report. And in this case, it's the beautiful profit and loss. It's a lot of fun. I'm just going to go and extend this all the way out to the year to date so you can see what a powerful tool this is. With just the click of a button, now I'm seeing exactly how the Jungle Sticks, and now later on the Jungle Snugs in June, since we just launched, how we're doing month over month. And I would say that, as the executives of corporations that I've worked for have said in the past, the profit and loss statement is sort of the backbone of your business. If you don't have a profit and loss statement, you might not really know what you're doing running your business. That I've heard that said before. Here's an easy way to run the calculations, get it all put up into like a simple, readable report, and we can track progress. We can see trends. We can identify weaknesses. And we can ensure that the business is on the right track. Is all that making sense, Greg?
Absolutely. It's making sense. Looks good.
Okay,
I think
cool.
After this, I know in the chat box, everyone wants to see, they want to drill down into the Jungle Snug sales though and see each one. So don't leave them hanging for that part.
Nope, we won't. Stick around, guys. We are going there now because that does summarize what I wanted to talk about at a high level. But now let's put it into practical application. And I'm just going to show, for what it's worth, the way that I would go about running the finances of my Amazon business on a daily basis. Everybody has their own daily routines, but I'm just going to share mine and see if it's of value to you. And I guarantee that during this process, we're going to drill down into the Jungle Snugs and see how each one of them are performing. Okay, so we're looking at January 1st to June 15th. That's a really nice wide date range. But in honesty, if we're just trying to focus on how the business is looking on a day-to-day basis, I like to look at a much more narrow snapshot. I'm going to look at 7 days. Okay, so now we're looking at 7 days worth of data, and we can see some things right out of the gate, okay? Obviously, people see a negative profit right out of the gate when we're looking at the last 7 days, and we also see a little bit of a drop in sales. So as a business owner, I'd be coming in here and saying, okay, well, what the heck is going on? We got to figure out what the story is telling us. Understand the narrative that the data is telling us, because that's what this is really all about, recognizing the narrative. So it's great to start with sales. Right out of the gate, there we go, $513 of promo rebates in the last 7 days. And so that has been the biggest impact on the business overall, or maybe one of 2 of the major big impacts. So I'd say that would be number 1, the promo rebates, and we can see them in dark blue here in each one of the bar graphs. And you can see kind of in these little hoverable widgets, okay, we had 2 that day, we had 7 this day, and totaling over $500. The other thing that makes me pause is that we've had a bit of a drop here. I mean, it's quite obvious that even though we're only talking about a short time frame and things will ebb and flow as they do in any business, but there has been a drop, and I want to know why, because I'm on top of my business, right? That's the idea. So I happen to know that it's related to inventory. So we can scroll down here into the inventory levels, because it's something I like to check on a daily basis once I've identified like the moving targets. The high movers, okay, we got promo rebates and we've got a drop in sales. Let's identify why. Because of this right here at the bottom. Jungle sticks are out of inventory. What happened with that, Greg?
No. Oh man, I guess some of the warehouses are backed up with as far as like truck shipments. Like oftentimes I send those UPS like after they've arrived in the US, and I sent them like 3 weeks ago by truck and they still haven't arrived. So hopefully one of these days soon, because it sucks. We're losing out on sales.
For sure, because these babies are averaging 28.2 sales, and that's including now a 3 days that are built into that average where we've had no sales because it's been out of stock. So they're probably averaging more like 35 plus sales per day. It's a fantastic product. It's a big mover right now, but we're out of stock. So that's why there's been a major drop. Here on 6/12, we have Jungle Stick sales. Here on 6/13, now we're just on the Jungle Snugs, a totally brand new product. But that's kind of what I'm taking in. You know, that's the big picture that I would see when I come onto this dashboard for the first time. We got a lot of promo rebates that are impacting the business. And then I think we need to ask ourselves some questions about the promo rebates. You know, are they working? What's our strategy there? And so probably the best way to dig into that is to do what the crowd has asked for. We're going to go and look at these Jungle Snugs. They're brand new. Everybody be warned. They've only been around for 7 days, but let's go and have a look. Okay, there's the Jungle Sticks. They are out of stock, but we really want to talk about the Jungle Snugs now. All right. Here are the Jungle Snugs White. We've customized the naming here. I think everybody recognizes that we've got white, blue, and we've got pink Jungle Snugs. So here we are. We've got the Jungle Snugs. They've only been on the market. I'm just going to confirm by expanding my date range. They've only been on the market something like 12 to 13 days. And there was a big giveaway strategy at the beginning. Greg, can you talk about that strategy?
Yeah, so guys, on the graph there, that dark blue, it shows the promo rebates. So kind of as we discussed a few webinars ago, a few sessions ago about like my giveaway strategy. So the goal here was just to get sales, to increase my sales velocity, because that's a major thing that Amazon takes into account in the organic rankings. At the end of the day, that's what we're after. We want to organically rank well for our primary keywords. So, you know, at the beginning, you'll see there was a lot of giveaways. There weren't many organic sales. And then we can also, when Shane starts talking, it'll go back to his screen. And then we can also see that it worked, because then we started to make more and more organic sales that didn't have a coupon associated with them.
Yep. And Greg, you are seeing the screen, right?
Yeah, I would just when I talk, it shifts to me and then it goes back to you.
Oh, right. Of course. Okay. Yeah. I mean, so the trends here are fantastic. I think we're already on the process of affirming that you've got the right strategy here. We've got a lot of promo rebates on the front end, but now we've transitioned here on 6/9 to 6/10. We took a little bit of a hit. You know, we went from just a few sales down to a few less sales, but something happened there. You know, the BSR must have had an improvement, and there's been a big turn. And now we're getting something like 7 to 10 organic sales a day. And that's pretty awesome. So it's going to be really fun to watch the trend line. We're now talking about a business that's only 12 days old or whatever, and we're already starting to get organic sales. You said it's ranking on the first page, and it's got to be because of this upfront effort that you put into taking a bit of a hit. People have to realize that they're going to take a little bit of a hit if they want to see this upward trend this quickly. There's going to have to be a promo rebate transition, and now it's happened, and now we're going in and we're growing at this nice curve rate, and it's going to be fun to watch over the next several weeks to see how the Jungle Snugs White do. I will scroll down and just show pay-per-click, even though it's not totally relevant. I still think it'd be helpful just for Greg to share his strategy here, because obviously there's been a significant amount of spend here as well. So there's been a little bit of a loss, and pay-per-click sales are just now starting to pick up over the last few days. So the last day or so of data probably hasn't come in, because PPC data tends to be a little delayed. So this probably isn't 100% accurate when we're looking at the live information. But I can see that between 6/9, 6/10, and 6/11, we're starting to get some PPC sales. What are your thoughts here with the PPC strategy, Greg?
Yeah, good question. So we've been pretty aggressive on the PPC, and that's the reason that our spend's been pretty high and our advertising cost of sale, ACOS, has been pretty poor. The reason for this is there's a few different things. One, from running these PPC and these automatic or broad match campaigns, Amazon gives us back good data, and that is what the customer is actually searching for when they land on our products. So that's very valuable because we get to see real customer search terms. So that's valuable. And the other thing that is good for us is we get to see which specific keywords convert the best. So like what the highest click-through ratio is, and ultimately what leads to the most sales. So this is very valuable data for us to have because then we can optimize our listing around this.
Perfect. It makes sense.
I'll also just say real quick that if I was one of you guys, I would probably wait to turn this on until after we had some reviews because your listing just converts a lot better. Since this is a case study, we're really trying to get this moving, and I turned it on earlier. But for my own products, as like more of a cost saving measure, I would wait till I had some reviews. So just last note.
Great. And I know that, again, cannot reiterate enough that the product's only been around for less than 2 weeks. I know in the past, I've often set campaigns for at least a week before even adjusting the data because you don't really even have enough relevant information until at least a week of action on the marketplace running these ads. So I'm sure that when we do a reevaluation of the Jungle Snugs in the next month or so, whenever you think it's time, Greg, we'll see this trend line going up, and we'll see that ACOS going down with PPC sales going up. So I look forward to seeing that. All right, so that's the Jungle Snugs White, and it's a hot product, and it is really on the go. Now we're going to dig into the Jungle Snugs Blue. Okay, the Jungle Snugs Blue are really, really fresh. I mean, I only chuckle because here we are doing an assessment. I credit your transparency, Greg, because it's not easy to be so transparent with your products, even though the product have only been around for just a few days. So the initial look here is that, yep, we got promo rebates, and the promo rebates are starting to tailor off. And here we are now maybe in the first day or so where Greg hasn't been giving away products at a discount. And we're hoping, of course, to see the same trend that we see with the Jungle Snugs White. It's just a little bit premature. We're really, really fresh. We're really, really new when it comes to the data here for the Jungle Snugs Blue.
Yeah, and quick comment, guys. The blue and the pink arrived a little bit later than the white ones. That's why there's only like 4 or 5 days of sales history for the blue and the pink. It took us a little bit longer to get that photography. So like Shane said, it's a very young and fresh product. It's been selling for less than a week.
Yep. And it's the exact same story here with the Jungle Snugs Pink. We're talking about daily routines and what it would be like to come in here and evaluate a business with a snapshot looking into Fetcher. I would just have to say that there's just not enough data to make an assessment of how Jungle Snugs Pink is going to perform yet. We've given away products. We trust the process. It's already working with white. Why wouldn't it start to work with pink as well? Time will tell. It's just a little bit early. But I mean, I do think that the consensus is here, only 2 weeks into the business, and we've got a product that is starting to take off. The trends are moving in the right direction, and I have no reason to disbelieve that it won't go down the exact same track as the Jungle Sticks and be a major success. So we'll continue to monitor the data as it comes in. But Greg, it's pretty fun to do just a quick and early snapshot.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fetcher makes it a lot easier for us to see. It's like if I look in Seller Central right now, my revenue is like real high, right? And because all it shows me is like top line revenue before like the coupons are taken out, all that stuff. So when I look at Seller Central, it's like, oh my gosh, it's doing so well. And we look at Fetcher, it's like, okay, this is actually like a real, just to be like transparent, like this is what you should expect early on to be like losing money the first few weeks or the first month or whatever through like the coupons, through spending like extra on PPC to rank well. So, I mean, like I said, just to be like transparent with you guys, this is like what you should expect the first few weeks. And remember, our goal is to build like a long-term profitable business. So like we're willing to lose a little bit of money the first month, chalk it up as a marketing expense, and in exchange have this listing that's going to perform well and make us lots of money for years and years to come.
Yeah, and I want to try to bring that full circle. You said we're talking about a lasting business, and that's what we said at the outset of this webinar. This is about building, good financial habits and disciplines into your daily routine, into managing your business so that it will be a long-term success. We'll see that with the Jungle Snugs. And I think that the overall takeaway here is whether you're going to use a software like Fetcher or you're going to opt for the manual option of using Seller Central and Excel files, it's just critically important to the success of your business, and that you do have a system in place that you trust, that you're spending time on, and that you're committed to serving in the long run. I know that Greg and we both use Fetcher on a daily basis for the management of our own personal businesses. We wouldn't be able to manage our businesses effectively without a tool like this, or without doing method one, the more manual route. But whichever option you choose to take, it's critical that you take one of those options, get on top of your Amazon business. And if you're interested in getting into the Fetcher system, you want to have a look at your product, we are going to offer a special discount today for everybody who's attended the webinar and everybody who views this webinar over the next 48 hours. So for the next 48 hours, you can sign up for Fetcher for free, sign up without a credit card, and we're also going to drop in a link into the chat box right now. Greg's doing that as we speak, and that is going to give you 50% off your first paid month if you choose to stay on and use Fetcher after the first trial month. So that first paid month would be 50% off. But I do genuinely believe that it's a good tool that somebody who even chooses to go the manual route can use to at least evaluate and validate that they're calculating their finances correctly. The takeaway here is, whatever you do, make sure that you're on top of your finances, whether you're using Fetcher or whether you're using Seller Central.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Shane. Guys, the link is fetcher.com/half. That gets you half off the first paid month. So 1 month is totally free. The next month is half off. After that, like 95% of you guys are only going to be paying $19 a month. So it's super cheap. It's not worth trying to waste all your time doing trying to import all this stuff into Excel. Shane, do we have time for about 2 or 3 questions? Do you mind?
Let's do it. Of course. Let's do it.
All right. One is, what is it like to get set up with Fetcher? There's some questions about that. Like, do you have to manually input everything? Does Fetcher automatically? Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, great question. Okay, so you guys, it's really simple. We are going to get all the Amazon data automatically. That's the hard stuff. It's the stuff that's deep inside Seller Central. It's hidden into Amazon's backend, their API. We are going to get all that. We're going to pre-populate your dashboard with all the numbers that you see here, just like you see in the Jungle Sticks account. But what we need from you is the data that goes into the expenses tab. I'll go there one more time as we did earlier. This is where you enter in your product costs. So this is where you're going to enter in the cost of goods per unit and the inbound shipping cost per unit if you have one. So private label sellers tend to have a cost of manufacturing, while wholesalers or retail arbitrage sellers, they tend to have a cost of acquisition because they're probably just buying the product in its pre-sold format, basically. And then you're going to enter in your inbound shipping cost. If you're a private label seller, in the Jungle Sticks case, this is the cost of shipping your product from China to the United States. If you have an arbitrage business or a wholesale business, this might be the cost of shipping it from some location in the United States to your own personal warehouse before it goes into Amazon. So it's a little different for each case, but the bottom line is that it's pretty simple and easy for getting Fetcher set up. The second that you sign up for Fetcher, we're already starting to calculate your data, and it will be populated on there, and you just have to enter in your cost of goods, and then you'll have your total profits calculated for you.
All right, thanks for that. We've got already some positive feedback in the chat box from people using Fetcher. This is a great tool and at a really great value, very user-friendly. So some really nice things about it. What marketplaces does Fetcher support?
Oh, good question. We didn't cover it because we've been focused so much on the Jungle Sticks and Jungle Snugs, which are selling in the United States. But we cover all the European marketplaces and all the North America marketplaces. So let's see if we can get them all correct here. I might miss one or two. But we've got Canada, we've got Mexico, we've got the United States and North America. Then out in Europe, we've got the UK, we've got Germany, we've got France, we've got Italy, and we've got Spain. I think that covers all of Europe and all of North America. And soon we'll be branching out into Japan and India and China.
All right. Fantastic.
And Greg, let me just tag on to that. If someone has more than one account, or say they have a United States account and they also have an account in France and they have an account in Germany, you'll see here that all of your accounts are going to get pre-populated, and you can synchronize as many accounts as you'd like, and they'll just be simply listed right here so you can toggle between them. Once you get into Fetcher, you're going to create a Fetcher account with one. Say it's your France account, and then if you want to add your US account, it's really easy. You're just going to go into My Account, Profile and Settings, And then down at the bottom, you're going to add an account. And you can add as many Seller Central accounts as you want from North America or Europe or a mix.
At no extra cost, right?
Your cost. Good point.
Fantastic. Cool. With that being said, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Shane, thank you very much for coming on and showing Fetcher to us. That was very useful. It's also, I think everyone really enjoyed seeing how many units Jungle Snugs has sold so far. And of course, we'll update you guys in a few weeks as the product progresses. If you are interested in Fetcher, you can sign up for it in the next 48 hours for half price at fetcher.com/half. Shane, is there anything else I'm forgetting before we go?
Nope. And if you did sign up for this webinar, you're going to get the replay link in an email format, and you'll also get a link to get that 50% off discount in the email that comes out to you guys here in the next 24 hours or so.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks again for coming on, Shane. And I will see everyone next Wednesday for the next session of the $1 Million Case Study. Take care.